for joining us. It has been a busy week. In Chicago, Obama opened his presidential center. In D.C., despite Trump spending $14 million, the Lincoln reflecting pool looks like Shrek pissed in it. And in the UK, Andy Burnham won the Bakerfield by-election and is now odds-on to become Prime Minister. And here is the moment that the results became clear.
Burnham Andrew Murray, commonly known as Andy Burnham, the Labour and Cooperative Party, 24,927.
Yeah, as hard as it is to believe, everyone on that stage was running in that election. Meaning Burnham managed to not only defeat the Reform UK candidate, but also Darth Trashcan and the meth-tastic Mr Fox. Meanwhile, the World Cup continued, with fans still having a great time, from Norway's rowing up escalators to Dutch supporters doing the Oranje fan walk to Australian fans coming up with the song of the summer. Excellent. Until now, the best thing Australia gave the US was avocado toast and Nicole Kidman, but they have just topped themselves. Because seeing drunk Aussies joyously chanting Trump's a sex offender is the equivalent of looking out your office window and seeing tourists eating ice cream on a double-decker bus. I didn't even know you could have that much fun here. Meanwhile, the Scottish fans have been in Boston, making friends wherever they go, putting cones on statues and causing some real supply chain issues.
If your favorite beer is missing from a tap...
We've never seen anything like it.
There's a decent chance Scotland had something to do with it. Sam Adams downtown ran out of their signature Boston lager over the weekend and needed an emergency delivery to keep up with World Cup fans. And they're not the only ones running dry.
The White Bull Tavern, there was no beer. The Scots fans just drunk the place dry, and all they had was, like, Bud Light.
Yeah. They drank everything but the Bud Light. And do you know how bad a beer has to be for Scottish people not to drink it? Their national dish is haggis, which looks like the sandworm from Dune shit itself. They'll eat that happily, but they draw the line at America's dick spittle. A beverage that, on its best day, tastes like piss-flavoured LaCroix. But it is true, Scotland fans have been drinking Boston dry, with one employee of a downtown bar saying, "We've been here for over 30 years and we've never seen anything like it. We tripled St Patrick's Day," which is wild. I guess the Scots saw the way Bostonians drink and said, "Hold my beer while I chug 3 more." Apparently, when one customer came into a Boston liquor store and purchased 2 bottles of water, a bunch of Scotland fans in the store booed her for the purchase. And while that is obviously very funny, I do have to look at it from that woman's perspective. She had a hard day at the office. She's a paralegal, I'm guessing. Her doctor keeps telling her to hydrate more, so she leaves work, after hours as usual, and stops at the nearest spot, a liquor store. She doesn't drink anymore, not since the accident, but it's pouring rain and her ex got all the umbrellas in the divorce. She rushes inside, grabs 2 water bottles and heads to the checkout, rifling through credit cards, hoping one will go through. She makes a good wage, but online poker was the devil that she could never ignore. She taps, it works, thankfully, but then she spots the clerk's name tag, Kyle. That was his name. Her eyes glaze and her mind drifts back to summer 2006, sleepaway camp, and the most beautiful boy she'd ever seen, Kyle Kirkpatrick. She realises her grandma was right. The worst part of growing up isn't the wrinkles or the restraining orders, it's that you never know you're in the best days of your life until they're over. And then she suddenly snapped back into reality by a mob of redheads booing her face. And that is why it's impossible to be a woman. Anyway, the World Cup's still very fun, but the big news this week concerned Iran. A week ago, Trump announced a deal to end his war, posting, "The deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow." Like a real Cha-Cha Di Gregorio in Greece. And on Wednesday, Trump signed a memorandum of understanding, and it quickly became clear this was less a comprehensive peace deal and more a plan to eventually have one with some pretty big holes in it.
The agreement calls for the war to end on all fronts, including Israel's strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. But the Israelis, who have been the U.S.'s partner in this war but were not involved in this deal, have made clear they aren't withdrawing from Lebanon. In the document, Iran does not commit to destroying its nuclear stockpile. The deal only states that they've agreed to negotiate the issue further over the next 60 days.
Yet this agreement doesn't even address Iran's nuclear program, supposedly the whole point of this war in the first place. And anyone can sign an agreement to just figure things out later. That is not difficult. It's the difference between Jonas Salk discovering the polio vaccine and him just writing, "I owe you one polio vaccine" on a piece of paper. Nevertheless, Trump took a full victory lap, claiming his new deal with Iran was far better than the one that Obama made in 2015, and which Trump tore up in his first term, using some strong language to describe why.
They gave him $1.7 billion in cash, green cash, from banks, into a Boeing 757 and flew it into Iran. And they stood at the plane. I have pictures of it, like, oh my, look at this money he's giving us. And you know what the Iranians did? They laughed at Obama and they said he's a stupid son of a bitch.
OK, so lots to unpack there, but I would like to focus on green cash from banks. Yet more evidence this guy sees everything in cartoons. They had billions in cash, green cash from banks, not the gold pile of money that the duck jumps into, the other kind. And they flew it to Iran real fast because the plane went across a little map. And when the Iranians saw it, their eyes turned into dollar signs and their tongues turned into big wads of cash, again, green, like from the banks. And they were all like, awooga, awooga. But about that supposed $1.7 billion gift, as has been pointed out for years now, that wasn't us just handing over money. It was us repaying a debt owed to Iran, which had bought military equipment from the US that it never received. So, as usual, Trump seized on one actual fact, the number 1.7 billion, and layered so much bullshit on top of it, it eventually became something totally different, like an oyster turning a grain of sand into a pearl, or an improv group turning an audience suggestion into a waste of everybody's time. But I guess it is good to know that Trump's against Iran being given money. It just makes it a little strange to learn that this memorandum includes at least $300 billion for reconstruction and economic development of Iran. And man, if Iran called Obama a stupid son of a bitch for letting them get $1.7 billion, I think we're about to find out what the Persian word is for someone 300 times dumber than that. As for what the US is getting out of this, it seems not a lot that we didn't already have. It's no wonder that even Republicans have expressed outrage at the deal, with Ted Cruz calling it an exceptionally bad idea, and the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee saying it was completely out of step with the president's goals. And they were not alone.
Republican Senator Bill Cassidy posting before the war the strait was open, Iran was being crushed by sanctions, and 13 service members were still alive. Now 13 Americans are dead. Families have paid billions at the pump. Sanctions will be lifted, and the bombing has stopped. Adding, this is the worst foreign policy blunder in decades.
And this morning, President Trump is firing back at his critics, saying those who think he hasn't been tough enough on Iran are, quote, either jealous, bad people, or stupid.
Look, I get Trump reflexively calling critics bad and stupid, but jealous? Who exactly is jealous of Trump right now? The man just got globally humiliated by 2 different bodies of water. Who's dying for a piece of that action? Many observers argue that this agreement puts Iran in a stronger position than it was in before. Its leaders have already said that they have plans to introduce fees to access the Strait of Hormuz, something they weren't doing before this war. And US intelligence agencies have assessed that Iran can effectively shut down access to the Strait of Hormuz at will from now on, with one source saying, we've now handed Iran de facto control over the strait, a weapon more powerful than any nuke. And of course it is. Being able to shut down a vital waterway is extremely powerful. Remember when this queen shut down the Suez Canal? We all had a good laugh at that, didn't we? But now, imagine she did that on purpose as an act of war. Not so funny, is it? Iran essentially now has a button they can push to make US gas prices go up, and Trump has signalled he'll do absolutely anything to keep them from pressing it. So there is no reason to think that we have leverage to get a good deal moving forward, and it is not a great sign that he's already put J.D. Vance in charge of finishing the deal. And as a Fox News reporter pointed out, there may be a reason for that.
Is there some element to this where you send the vice president, if it works out, great, you look like a genius for sending him. And if it doesn't work out, it's the vice president.
I like that idea, sure. If it works out, I'm going to take the credit. If it doesn't work out, I'm blaming J.D. You better be careful, J.D. He's going to turn his plane around and get the hell out of here. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I bet you do. You know, the best jokes always have an element of truth to them. You hear that, J.D.? Pretty good, right? Wouldn't that be funny? Your career ending and me just kind of moving on to the next thing? But don't worry, I wouldn't do that, even though it would be super easy, and I probably will. My fans tried to murder the last guy who had your job. Do you remember that, J.D.? They did! And look, ultimately, it's going to be months of negotiation before the key details in this deal are hammered out. But it seems pretty clear there isn't going to be much upside to Trump's disastrous war, either for us or indeed for Iran's people, whose hopes of change and revolution seem to have been dashed. Basically, it looks like Trump's going to take whatever crumbs he can get at this point, give Iran's leadership whatever it wants, and leave the rest of us, very much like the Scots left every bar in Boston this past week, high and fucking dry. And now, this.
And now, men, what do you want for Father's Day?
Father's Day is coming up on Sunday, so have anyone planned and you know what to do for, say, Greg or your dad?
No, and I asked Greg this morning, again, Greg, if you're watching, like, let me know.
My wife was asking, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know, what do you want to do?
I hate it when your kids ask you, what do you want for Father's Day?
Yeah.
Really?
You know what, though?
Well, what do you want?
As for what people are buying, the #1, greeting cards.
Yeah.
Dads don't want greeting cards.
Okay, what do y'all want?
One time I went out to do some man on the street interviews and asked dads, oh, what do you want for Father's Day? And they're like, nothing.
What are you doing for Father's Day? Do you know?
I didn't even realize it was Father's Day until yesterday, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Anything like for a gift? Maybe
No, it's fine.
You don't care about the gift?
I don't need a gift. No, I don't need a gift.
So would a mug be fine for you? Socks, drawers?
Sure.
What do you want to do?
I have something to do and I can't remember it now. You asked me too fast.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh, you know what it is? I know what I got to do on Father's Day. Now this is going to be gross. But I got to get a colonoscopy on Monday, so I got to prep.
Moving on. Our main story tonight concerns pigs. Fat dogs in tap shoes. Specifically, we're going to be talking about feral pigs, boars or hogs. They're the things being chased in this recent viral clip from Poland.
Well, here's something you don't see every day, a humanoid robot chasing a herd of wild boars. Yeah, the now viral video from Poland shows a robot named Edward. As it chased the boars out of a Warsaw neighborhood, Edward can be heard shouting, "Go away," in Polish as the animals fled into the forest before then waving goodbye.
Yeah, that is real. Apparently, Poland has a humanoid robot named Edward who took it upon himself to chase off some feral pigs and then politely wave them goodbye, which is honestly a pretty canny PR campaign for anthropomorphic robots. All I'm saying is, that is a nice way to get us all used to him before he's inevitably one day used as a weapon of war. Oh no! Edward at The Hague? But he was so chill to those pigs! But feral hogs aren't just a problem in Poland. There are lots of them here in the US too, as you may remember from this tweet that went viral a few years ago.
You might have noticed that the top trending topic everywhere seemed to be feral hogs. A bizarre turn of events which began with a tweet from a guy named Willie in Arkansas, who added his 2 cents to the roiling debate over banning assault weapons. Quote, legit question for rural Americans. How do I kill the 30 to 50 feral hogs that run into my yard within 3 to 5 minutes while my small kids play?
Yeah, the internet absolutely obsessed over that tweet. It got its own Know Your Meme page, and people responded with an avalanche of jokes like, my milkshake brings 30 to 50 feral hogs to the yard, and my neck, my back, my 30 to 50 feral hog attack, which is very funny. Twitter used to be good. But the thing is, that guy wasn't exaggerating about the potential threat of hogs, because it turns out they're actually a massive problem.
As big as 400 pounds, fast as a car, sharp-toothed and aggressive. Feral hogs, wild boars, razorbacks, whatever you call them, they are one of the most destructive species in America.
That is true. Feral hogs are one of the most destructive species in the country, which is genuinely shocking because look at that thing. It looks adorable. It'd be like learning the #1 producer of carbon emissions is Baymax. Sure, he's a robotic healthcare provider who looks like a marshmallow, but it turns out his farts are responsible for killing most of the bees. And if that wasn't already bad enough, feral hogs are also spreading at an alarming rate, and not just in rural America. Just listen to this man who lives in a suburb of Dallas.
Ted Faulkner has lived in South Mesquite for 17 years.
They look like cows.
And the entire time, he's dealt with feral hogs. As of late, he says they've been coming around more frequently.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
There are 6 to 8 to 10 hogs, and some are as large as cows.
Yeah, that's not a one-off either. There's a bunch of Ring camera footage of feral hogs roaming various US suburbs. So hogs can now officially join the usual blend of Ring camera content, dancing UPS drivers, raccoons being sneaky little guys, and screaming confrontations between neighbours as the increasing technological distance between us converts what was once a shared community into a paranoid surveillance dystopia. You know, Ring camera stuff. The point is, there are a lot more feral hogs in the US than you may think. The USDA estimates there are currently over 6 million feral swine in the US and that they're responsible for over $3 billion in damage to US agriculture each year. And they are spreading fast. In the past 30 years, hogs have expanded their range from 20 states to 36. And experts have referred to their increase in numbers as a pig bomb that can have devastating effects on food production and the environment, which is surprising both on its face and because I cannot believe that the term pig bomb hadn't already been taken by something on the Denny's menu. And all of that isn't even taking into account stories like this.
A warning this morning about the growing dangers from feral hogs. These pigs were blamed for the gruesome death of a woman in Texas last week, and now experts are saying that incidents like these are likely to become more common across the United States. Milder winters caused by climate change are helping the population explode. Wild pigs are destructive, they are extremely difficult to control, and they are statistically more dangerous than sharks.
Yeah, that's actually true. Wild pigs have killed slightly more people than sharks worldwide in the past 20 years, although, to be fair, statistically, lots of animals are more dangerous than sharks. Cows kill more people than they do, for example, and yet the cowards at Discovery Channel still refuse to do Cow Week. Why? Because they're afraid of cows, as, to be honest, they fucking should be. Now, luckily, it is still not likely that feral hogs will kill you, but as you're about to see, they can still do a lot of damage in other ways, to the point where many researchers consider them the most destructive invasive species on the planet. So given that, tonight, let's talk about feral hogs, where they came from, the damage they're doing, and how we can fight back. And let's start with the fact that feral hogs aren't native to the US. In fact, no pig or any other member of the swine family is native to the Western Hemisphere. But over the centuries, as people came from all over the world, they brought pigs with them. First, domesticated pigs were brought over by Christopher Columbus in what's remembered as his only moral failing. And later, in the 19th century, they were joined by wild boar, which were brought over to provide a new game species for wealthy hunters. Many of those pigs and boars then escaped captivity and in some cases bred together, eventually becoming the hybrid feral swine that we have today. And part of the reason they survived so well in the wild is that aside from humans, pigs have very few natural predators. They're also incredibly resourceful. They can eat a variety of foods, and while they mainly thrive in southern states, even in cold climates, they can burrow into the snow, creating so-called pigloos to survive the winter, which is, and this is true, cute. They also apparently maintain complex social relationships, can choose to resolve conflicts without violence, and seem to understand what they see in a mirror, which obviously we already knew. She can resolve conflicts without violence, she just chooses not to. If there's one thing a pig is going to do, it's escalate the situation. As for the prevalence of these hogs, a key thing you need to understand is they cannot stop fucking.
One sow becomes reproductively active when she's 7 or 8 months old. She can have a litter of 6 every time she has a litter. So in 5 years, one sow could have 1,000 descendants.
Yeah, that is a lot of pig births. And look, I don't want to say I told you so, but I do think it's time for us to admit that abstinence-only pig sex education just isn't working, because the pigs are going to fuck. Look at me. The pigs are going to fuck. And as their population has grown, feral hogs have begun to drift from rural environments into suburban and even urban ones. And it can be pretty alarming to suddenly see them in your neighborhood.
Residents in the southern section of the Florida Shore subdivision around 35th and Yule Tree woke up this morning to find their lawns looking more like tossed salad, and it's not the first time. They're fed up with wild hogs having their way with the properties here.
Running all over the place, going like they're playing.
Excellent. I want to see that man weigh in on all local news stories. A stabbing at the local strip mall, they're taking out knives going, ree, 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 and then the blood, and the guy's all like, ow, ow, the light, you know, like he's dying. But as silly as doing a pig impression on the news is, any time you have wild animals crossing over into heavily populated areas, it can be very dangerous. As one expert said, hitting a 200 or 300 pound pig on a highway is not that much different than hitting a 200 or 300 pound rock. And it's not just cars. 2 F-16 fighter jets crashed after they hit pigs on a runway. But the main damage these hogs do is environmental, as they not only eat farmers' crops, but can destroy seedlings by rooting in the dirt. There are fields that have been totally destroyed by them, and while they are rooting, hogs can break up irrigation lines and infrastructure on farms and leave holes in fields that can sink a tractor and destroy expensive equipment. And the thing is, they seem to do this no matter the crop. One expert even said, we haven't been able to find a crop that feral swine won't eat. That includes everything from corn to soybeans to peanuts. Apparently, hogs love peanuts. And don't just take that from me. Listen to this former state agriculture commissioner.
Hogs love peanuts.
See? See? I told you that. You didn't believe me, though, did you? You thought, oh, bullshit, you're the last person I'd trust to tell me whether or not hogs love peanuts. But now that Mississippi State Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce Lester Spell says it, oh, suddenly you're all, oh, everyone knows hogs love peanuts, John. That's not news. And on top of all this, hogs will even threaten livestock.
The big boars are our main problem. They will kill the newborn lambs and kid goats that are right there on the bedding ground, because that's when they're most vulnerable, is when they're young, and they'll come along through there and they'll eat those kids and lambs just like a 3-year-old would M&Ms.
Yeah, that's pretty alarming, isn't it? Though, quick side note on his analogy there, you don't have to be 3 years old to absolutely hawk down a bowl of M&Ms. No one is savouring them at any age. No elders are out there digging in with a knife and fork. No, the FDA classifies M&Ms as an inhalant for a reason. The proper way to eat them is to pour them into your open mouth like a baby bird and feel absolutely nothing afterwards. And it's not just lambs. Hogs prey on fawns and endangered salamanders and raid the clutches of ground-nesting birds and threatened sea turtles. In fact, one expert said that we've taken feral swine and in necropsies shown their entire stomach and intestines are full of baby sea turtles, which is one of the most disturbing things you could possibly find inside of a dead hog, other than maybe a skeleton labelled the real Tom Hanks. I have so many questions there, including why the name tag? Also, if he's in there, who was in A Man Called Otto? You know, I guess it turns out I ended up only having 2 questions, but they are big ones and I do want answers. And when you take hogs' impact on agriculture and wildlife together, it is no wonder some of those who study them describe hogs in apocalyptic terms.
Feral hogs are an ecological train wreck. Feral hogs are competitors for native wildlife. They're nest predators for anything that lays an egg on the ground. And they're a significant source of mortality for sensitive species and endangered species.
Right, it turns out ever since pigs showed up in America, they've set about annihilating any living thing they came into contact with. So I guess being around Christopher Columbus must have really rubbed off on them. It's been estimated that feral swine have played a role in the decline of nearly 300 native plants and animals in the US alone, over 250 of which are threatened or endangered. In fact, research shows that the habitat where hogs are present is more than a quarter less biologically diverse than one where they are not. And if you are still not convinced that hogs are bad news, first, congratulations on being the biggest ride-or-die hog fan on the planet. And second, we haven't even gotten to the potential for disease outbreaks yet. feral swine carry over 30 pathogens and 40 parasites, many of which can infect wildlife. They can introduce diseases like Giardia, Salmonella, and E. coli into the water supply. And the worry is that an outbreak involving feral pigs would be incredibly difficult to contain. But even the diseases that don't threaten humans directly can still carry other risks. For instance, pseudo-rabies isn't a threat to people, but it is usually fatal to other animals. Then there is African swine fever, which thankfully hasn't shown up in America yet, but given our growing feral hog population, it could only be a matter of time. One expert warned, if an animal disease like African swine fever or hoof and mouth gets into these animals, it will be almost impossible to stop. It will shut down our livestock industry. And if you're thinking, well, sure, that does sound frightening, but it's not like infected pigs can just buy a plane ticket and fly here. Well, kinda.
Well, some pork problems at Hartsfield-Jackson. Airport officials discover a cooked pig in checked luggage. Officials say Canine Hardy, a member of the airport's Beagle Brigade, alerted them to the baggage of a traveler from Ecuador. And inside, specialists discovered this, a nearly 2-pound roasted pig head.
Look, there have been some happy moments in my life, the birth of my children, my wedding, yada, yada, yada. But I don't think I've ever experienced a joy as pure as that beagle who just found 2 pounds of roasted pig face. When you're an airport dog, you spend all your time finding boring things like guns or cocaine. But that is the face of a dog who just scored himself a surprise luau. And look, we're all lucky that that pig got intercepted, but I do hope they were careful in disposing of it, because experts that we talked to pointed out that if it had been infected, hadn't been fully cooked and was just dumped into a landfill, feral hogs often feed there and could well have ended up spreading the disease anyway. The point here is, clearly, an uncontrolled feral hog population is bad for a lot of reasons, and we've actually been trying all sorts of ways to contain it, but with varying degrees of success. First, there is hunting. Sport hunting can undeniably be a powerful tool for controlling animal populations, and some states have loosened laws to encourage more pig hunting in particular, eliminating seasons and bag limits, and basically doing everything they can to encourage hunters to kill as many hogs as possible, with Texas probably going the furthest.
It is now legal to kill a feral hog in the state of Texas, even if you don't have a hunting license. This law is the least restrictive yet for Texas property owners. No questions asked, no hunting license needed.
Yeah, no license, no questions asked. Although I guess if any state was going to lead the way on this, it was always going to be Texas. The place where local news starts every morning with a list of the things it's now legal to kill. Good morning, Texas. Today, it's mimes. Yeah, mimes are on the list, so grab your gun and happy hunting. I've already got my mime call right here. Yeah, it's silent. It's just a little bit of mime hunting fun for all of us there. Seriously, though, it is open season on mimes today. Go ahead and put them in a little box. And with encouragement like that, it is no surprise that after white-tailed deer, feral pigs are now the most popular big game animal in North America, and that can seem like a win-win. After all, hogs need to be gotten rid of, and hunters love going after them, especially because they're a challenging quarry because they are so smart. For instance, hunters used to go after them during the day, but pigs then responded by becoming largely nocturnal. And that intelligence has created a cottage industry of techniques to try and outsmart pigs, including my absolute favourite, this device.
Okay, for you hunters that hog hunt, this is it. Nightingale's hog call. With this one, all you got to do is blow it and just see that hog out there. You know the sound. That's the hog call by Nightingale.
Yeah, is it though? I mean, I guess it depends. Are hogs attracted to the sound of a kazoo being violently murdered? Look, I'm no expert in hog calling, but I do have it on pretty good authority what they sound like. Exactly. Maybe consult with that guy next time. But while some hog hunters rely on calls, others have resorted to much more extreme advantages.
The problem has gotten so bad here, it's legal to hunt hogs from the sky.
It's loaded.
You don't even need a license to kill, firing out of so-called pork choppers.
We'll get him out that open. Let's get him out that open. Okay. The helicopter hog hunting is the #1 most effective way to hunt pigs.
Good shot, baby. Thank you.
It's true. People now hunt hogs from helicopters, which sounds like the sort of activity you'd plan if you asked ChatGPT to invent a new bachelor party activity from scratch. And apparently, they are genuinely called pork choppers, which is clearly very good. When you come up with a pun like that, what are you going to do? Not shoot rifles at pigs from aircraft? Come on. Pork choppering has now become an extremely popular way to hunt hogs. Not only does the USDA do it, but states like Texas have turned it into something of a tourism industry. A few years ago, Texas even legalised hunting hogs by hot air balloon, something nobody seems to have been interested in doing, given the head of the Balloon Federation of America told reporters, "I have never had a phone call from anybody asking to do this." I think that people have not stopped laughing yet. And you know a proposal is stupid when it's laughed down by the head of the Balloon Federation of America. But there are real problems with just relying on hunting to be the solution here. For one, hogs are reproducing faster than they can be hunted. To eradicate them, their population must drop 60 to 80% each year. And in a busy year, recreational hunters kill only about 24%. But hunting isn't just insufficient, it may actually be making this problem worse. Because hogs are such an appealing game animal, some businesses started transporting them to new states so that they could be hunted there. And unsurprisingly, many of those who imported pigs to their area for hunting have since come to seriously regret that.
A lot of these hunters and hunting clubs can remember 20 or 30 years ago when pigs were actually brought in. Now, if you ask those people today, they would tell you they made a huge mistake.
Yeah, I bet. And look, I might be inclined to be more sympathetic to someone who brought animals where they don't belong because they thought it would be fun only to lose control of them and watch them destroy everything if that wasn't literally the plot of Jurassic Park. Or in this case, I guess, Jurassic Pork, obviously. So clearly, hunting isn't going to be the sole answer here, but unfortunately, every other option also has its pros and cons. For instance, there is trapping, which allows you to capture entire groups of hogs at the same time. That sounds good. The challenge there, though, is that pigs, as I've mentioned, are very smart and they tend to learn fast.
I have traps that I no longer use because the hogs have figured out how to get out of them. See how they're piling up? They're forming a pig pyramid. It's kind of for protection. They try to get underneath each other. They'll attack that corner, and a lot of times what they do is they'll run out over the top of each other and jump out.
Yeah, that's both impressive and also pretty humbling. Pigs get caught in a trap once and instantly figure out how to get out of it. Meanwhile, this morning, I pushed a door that said pull in the building I've worked in for 13 years. And they might not even need to build something as elaborate as a pig pyramid, given that sometimes they'll get out with pure determination, as this man discovered when he taunted a pig that he found in his trap.
Hey, little piss off. How you doing, buddy? Let's see. Look at that. Oh, fuck. Motherfucker.
Wow. There are very few instances of someone being as completely owned by a pig as that. It's basically just that guy and the sheepdog who came in second at the end of the movie Babe. I just lost a sheep herding contest to a pig. What do I even do now? And the crucial thing about trapping pigs is you need to catch the entire group or sounder all at once, because if you don't get the whole sounder, the trap in that location is no longer really viable because they'll basically communicate that's not some place to go. That is why some have pushed for a more extreme alternative, poison. Researchers have spent years testing poison options, but unfortunately, the ideal hog bait, one that can kill them humanely without risking hurting people or other animals, hasn't been discovered yet, and not for lack of trying. A few years back, Texas's agriculture commissioner pushed for the use of a poison called warfarin under the brand name Kaput. But many hunters, wildlife organisations and pork producers pushed back, citing the obvious issue with introducing a toxic ingredient into a whole ecosystem.
You know, because you got a deer comes up and eats it, he dies. A buzzard comes up and eats the deer, he dies. Then you got coons that eat the leftovers that are on the ground, they die. I mean, you never know. It's just a chain reaction.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? It's not like you can just put up a sign in the woods that says delicious treats for pigs only, for a bunch of reasons. One, deer can't read, and two, raccoons famously don't recognise authority. Fuck you, oppressor! Live free and eat trash! Researchers have tried to develop all sorts of tactics to ensure that only pigs eat poison bait, including putting it in a container with a 17-pound lid, although unfortunately that still doesn't keep out bears who would remain at risk of getting poisoned. They've even tried this.
A new type of feeder is being tested at LSU that would only distribute poisoned bait through technology that recognizes feral hogs through their voice. According to Commissioner Strain, this oink recognition technology could usher the return of kaput if it proves to just target pigs.
Look, it is not the point, but credit to whoever wrote the phrase, this oink recognition technology could usher in the return of kaput, because that is just a beautiful concussion of words. There should be a mini Pulitzer for sentences, and it should be yours. Unfortunately, though, there are real questions regarding cruelty when it comes to warfarin, as it can cause a slow, days-long death due to internal bleeding. That is why, when Australia considered using it, it eventually concluded that the method of death was so cruel that use of warfarin should be outlawed. Meanwhile, still other researchers have looked into contraceptive bait, which would neutralise hogs' ability to reproduce, which honestly sounds like the best solution here. There's even a product out there right now called Hogstop, which claims it is effective at lowering sperm count in boars. The problem there, though, is it is female hogs that drive fertility, given that one sow can have multiple male pig fathers in a given litter. So ideally, there'd be a contraceptive targeting the sows as well as the boars, but there isn't yet. The bottom line here is that, as it stands, no single method is going to be able to control our feral hog population by itself. Instead, it's going to take a bunch of tools, and the key thing is to use them wisely, because almost all of them could backfire. So that's going to mean hunting without incentivising the spread of pigs, trapping in a way that doesn't teach hogs to avoid traps, and devising a toxic bait that isn't unnecessarily cruel and doesn't do even more damage to the environment. And success is going to look different depending on where you live. In states with new or small hog populations, eradication is possible. Iowa, New York and Idaho have all managed to eliminate feral hog populations because they addressed the problem early on. But for the hardest hit states, like Texas, the truth is eradication is never likely to happen. In fact, researchers determined Texas would need to remove approximately 2 million wild pigs per year just to keep 3 million of them on the landscape, which is a hell of a lot of hog killing to still have a hell of a lot of hogs. Look, let's face it here, the hard truth is that feral hogs are probably always going to be with us in some capacity, but that doesn't mean that we have to surrender. In fact, we shouldn't surrender. Because I've learned one thing from the movies, is that whenever America gets invaded, it fights back immediately. After that is an appropriate pause for an inspirational speech. And if that is what America needs right now, then that's what it's going to get. Because look, I'm not saying that this is going to be easy, but believe me, if we work together, we can look this hog invasion straight in its beady little eyes and start pushing back. You know, we can turn back this pig tide if we stand together. We can defuse this pig bomb. And we can push their population back down to a manageable level, because right now, they think they've beaten us. Just because these hogs are able to routinely eat our crops and destroy our fighter jets and snack on our baby turtles. So we need to respond with ingenuity, with grit. I can't believe I'm about to say this. With a judicious application of assault helicopters.
I've got a gun!
Good, good, then you can bring it.
I've got a bucket of poison?
Actually, that needs more research, so let's hold off on using it now and circle back later when the science improves.
I got all these hog-sized condoms.
I absolutely love to hear it, but unless you've got an IUD for pigs, it's just not going to be enough. What I'm saying here is, we need to work together. In fact, you know what? We have to work together. And if we do, if we can catch this menace by its curly little tail, then I promise you, this will be our Swine Dependence Day! Yeah! Yeah! And for all the hogs out there watching, I have just one thing to say to you. They get it! That's our show. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Good night!
Exhale, inhale, and you get. I don't know what all that hand action is, but it looks good.